back to for another video for my son. I'm imagining he's older, probably around 18 or so, and getting ready to go see the wide world, and we're walking with the dog, and I get to say these thoughts to him. Yesterday I talked about how I loved him unconditionally, but and my love is flawed, and I love him the best I can, but that's not always going to be received well, and so have grace, grace upon me and my flawed love towards him. Today I was thinking of had some conversations. The topic of forgiveness kept coming up, so I thought that would be a good one to address. For him. This has been a huge topic in my life, and it's been tough. Hey, we gotta keep going. Woo! Forgiveness, yeah. So, this is raw, uncut stuff right here. I think this might be a multi-parter, but my understanding of forgiveness comes from the basis of I'm a flawed human being. I'm not perfect, and I need forgiveness. One of the hardest things for me to know and to learn is that my sin, my crookedness, some would say humanness, runs very deep, and not by God's grace that I could find myself in a lot of different situations where I'd be making a lot worse choices, and even now I could still go off the deep end and make poor choices where I need a lot of forgiveness. Talk about people who have forgiven their attackers and people who've killed friends, family, parents, children, and trying to process that to the forgiveness. It's such a hard idea, hard thing to think about. Again, really comes down to understanding that I too need that, if that could be in my heart. And my brokenness. It's kind of hard to explain and hard to talk to. I remember reading somewhere, a guy was talking to some people who'd gone through the Rwandan genocide. That was a thing that happened. You could look it up on the internet or ChatGPT or whatever people are using. And they said, the lady that was being spoken to and interviewed said, I've come to the point where I no longer wish to kill all the people who killed my family, right? Like I no longer, and the author was saying, like, that was huge. That's a great first step, or that's a huge act of forgiveness right there, that we're not looking to respond with that anger back to somebody else, in terms of looking to make an eye for an eye. Like, no longer the anger had dissipated to a point. I shouldn't say left, that was wrong. that had disappointed to the point where she no longer wished them dead. And sometimes it's that way for us as we're working through the hurts and griefs, processing them, giving them over to God. There's tons of things where like it is a real it really is a process oftentimes. I know with big hurts and griefs, there's things I still think about that happened 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. And something will happen in my day and it'll remind me of that. I'll poke on that scar or on that wound. And I'm like, ouch! It's still tender. I have a lot of scars. And sometimes when you poke on them, that scar tissue doesn't always feel normal. And so you could feel that. And so it's a continual process of giving that over, not hanging on to that, learning forgiveness. Boy, it's such a big topic. We're not going to cover it all in this one little video, so maybe that's good. Maybe I'll cover it in lots of other videos to come. But I hope you learn to forgive. All right. Love you, son. Talk to you later.